Okay, we're live. Here we go. It is Thursday, May 9th. Got some great questions, and let's go ahead and kick this thing off. We'll give a couple shout outs first. Cool things that are screenshotted from the community. Number one, from Kevin H. A new 1 mile personal best of 6 minutes and 58 seconds. A PR by over 2 minutes from his previous time. Never thought I would hit a sub 7 mile at 48 and a half years old. Thanks, Linchpin. How cool is that? And we've got, let's see, from Andrew C. I would just like to say that finding Linchpin has been a breath of fresh air for me. Safe to say, I feel like I struck gold in discovering such an awesome community that supports each other. Along with a coach that seems to genuinely care about the programming and the athletes, it has made working out fun again. Imagine that, actually enjoying working out again. It can be done. All right, let's dive into the questions today. One of them is so amazing. It's amazing. I mean, the title of this show is Olympic Lifting in a Wetsuit. And that's not clickbait. It's going to be great. We'll get into that in a little bit. But all right, here we go. First one. This is from Eric J. Says, what's a goal or accomplishment that you're currently working on to achieve? So let me lower this a bit here. A goal or something that I'm working on right now to achieve is nothing fitness related. It's achieving as much Spanish fluency as I possibly can. I've had Spanish as a hobby for years and years, ever since I started kind of getting into it way back in the day in the military, bouncing around Central and South America, fell in love with that whole region, fell in love with the language. Always thought it was a beautiful language. And at various stages in my life, I've been really dedicated with my Spanish, and other times it's fallen off. And you know what's really cool about Linchpin? Here's really cool. This is what's really cool. Something related to this question came up like a couple months ago, like a hobby that I had fallen off and would love to get back. And I mentioned Spanish, and that was it. That's it. I heard from several Linchpin members, Spanish speakers, native Spanish speakers, who were like, let's talk a couple times a week. That would be amazing. What an incredible community is that? So since then, there's a couple individuals in the community. I'll give some shout outs, Adrian and Nicholas, that I've been chatting with a couple times a week in Spanish. And it makes my head hurt because it's so hard for me to focus on. It feels like my central nervous system gets taxed. Like if you're trying to learn the snatch and you've never done it before, it's just so difficult to do something challenging and to try to do it quickly. That's what Spanish is for me. So that's my goal. I love it. But I'm getting better every week, and it's awesome. Let's see. Melanie got herself some new dip bars, the Matador bars, and apparently they are quite effective at roasting the muscles. Let's see. Okay, Shauna K. I recently picked up a copy of Learning to Breathe Fire. And do you have any lifestyle or fitness books that you recommend or are excited about reading right now? At the moment, I'm not reading anything because I'm taking that free time, which is minimal, sadly, that I would have dedicated to reading, and I'm practicing my Spanish with real human beings, which is awesome. So at the moment, I'm not doing my daily reading because of the Spanish immersion, which has been so darn fun. Actually, and I have a Spanish book that I'm reading as well on the days that I don't talk with a real human being to try to keep it fresh in my head. So no, I don't. And you know what's funny? How to phrase this? I find some of the more interesting fitness books, endeavors, blogs, articles, conversations these days with people who aren't in the CrossFit space. And that's because after so many years, like 20 years of being just so immersed in CrossFit, there's plenty there. And I feel like most of the interesting stuff that I can learn comes from somewhere outside the community, and having a conversation with somebody who's unrelated to CrossFit at all, just a power lifter, just an Olympic lifter, just a runner, just a gymnast, whatever it happens to be, talking to them about their training protocols, lessons that they've learned and all that. Sometimes those conversations at the end are like, okay, interesting, cool to hear what you all are doing. I don't really think there's something that applies to help drive the needle forward in our community. And every now and then there is something, or there's fascinating commonalities between the two. And so I've really enjoyed poking around things outside of CrossFit just to see if there's some cool knowledge there. I don't think that was helpful to you, Sean. I apologize. Patrick S. I know you programmed the workouts where we could be in and out of the garage in an hour, but unfortunately, I can only fit in 30 minutes in the morning on weekdays anyway. And the heavy days, sometimes the limited equipment workouts can take longer than 30 minutes. So how would you suggest you scale, cut the time down, um, to make it work? And he says my other option would be just to grab a sandbag and make it a heavy day. So I would say, Patrick, we've answered this question in there's been several discussions of somebody just doesn't have the time they need, right? And as we've said before, doing something is infinitely better than nothing. And the other part is, no matter what time frame you have, we're going to be able to make something work for you that the best degree possible really replicates the stimulus we're going for that day. And if you've only got 30 minutes each day, that's not ideal. Okay. I mean, there's the ideal and the real. We've covered this a lot too, right? Real, the ideal is, hey, I got an hour. I slept great. Nutrition's on point. No one's going to disturb me in the hour. I got all the kit that I need. I get in a beautiful warm up. I made a great decision with how I should attack the workout regarding intensity and scaling. Had a cool down and stretch and went home. What a great day. That's amazing. Depending upon where you are in your life, that might be like a magical unicorn that you're never going to see. You could be in a phase in your life where life's busy, got to get out the door for work. If I don't do 30 minutes in the morning, I got nothing. That's real. Cool. We can work with that. You're just going to have to make some concessions. That's just what it is. So just, don't worry about not getting in the beautiful workout. From a lot of the mixed modality workouts, you're going to be able to get it done in 30 minutes. For a lot of them, not all of them. We go long for sure, but a lot of them. You could get in a brief warm up. Again, not ideal. Give yourself 5 minutes to warm up, get into the workout, and maybe you got about 5 minutes to cool down and put stuff away in the end. That leaves you 20 minutes in the middle to work out. 5 minute warm up, 20 minutes for the workout, 5 minutes for the cool down and put the gear away. That's going to work for you most of the time. And even if it's a day where it's a longer day, like yesterday, we went long, intentionally long. It was a 4 round workout, and each round had a 1,500 meter row in it, right? So there's 6,000 meters of rowing in that workout, not to include the other three parts of it. It was a long day intentionally. If that was the day and you've only got 30 minutes, take everything that's in that 4 round workout and significantly reduce it. So it was 4 rounds of a 1,500 meter row, 15-meter handstand walk or overhead carry or some sort of modification, 15 strict ring dips, and 15 box jumps, 4 rounds. Okay, well, you know what? Get rid of it. Now you're going to do your quick warm up. And then for 20 minutes, you're going to just do an AMRAP of a 500-meter row instead of a 1,500-meter row. Let's say you're going to do the overhead carry, an overhead carry for 10 meters. You're going to do 10 ring dips and 10 box jumps. You're just going to cycle that as many times as you can in 20 minutes. And then you're going to walk out the door and be good to go. That can be done the overwhelming majority of the time, even on a longer day. Now, if you've got a heavy day, yes, you'd love to have more time for a heavy day, but life isn't going to allow it. What you can do, if a heavy day workout with the dumbbells, you've got, let's say, some classics in there. Single leg, stiff-legged deadlifts. You've got some Bulgarian split squats. Maybe you've got some shoulder work or some Arnold press, or whatever it happens to be. There's several sections of that, and it's 4 sets of 8 to 12 on the Bulgarians, or 4 sets of 8 to 12 on the single leg deadlifts. Well, in an ideal world, you'd get to rest between that, get in another nice challenging heavy set, get some rest. Okay, but we're not living in the ideal world. We're in the real world. I would just, in that case, I would superset it. I warm up for 5 minutes. Again, 5 minutes at the end, that 20 minutes in the middle. I would do, let's say, 8 or 12 single leg deadlifts on each side, if that's, the game that we're playing right now. Let's say the workout had plank holds. I do a 30-second, 45-second plank hold, hop back up, grab the dumbbells, some Bulgarian split squats, short plank hold, get back up, whatever it is, pull-ups, bent over rows, dumbbell bench, I would just chop it up and go back to back to back. And I might have to use a lighter loading for that. Again, it's not ideal because I'm not giving myself the rest that I would. But if it's between doing that and doing nothing at all, I would do that every day of the week, every single day of the week. And I could also, if you have several different dumbbell options available, a great thing to do would be to have them all ready. And maybe for simple math, let's say you've got a pair of 20-pound dumbbells, 30-pound dumbbells, and 50-pound dumbbells, or 35s. Everyone has those. You start off with the 20s or the 25s. You do maybe a round with that, start to get feeling pretty good. You grab the 35s for the next round or two. You do that for 1 or 2 rounds, feel pretty good. And maybe for the last couple rounds, you grab the 50s. You're fully warmed up. It's really challenging. You could do something like that. So there's a whole lot of different ways that you could do it. And again, you're going to drive the needle forward, because when you think about what's the other option, doing nothing. And so rushing it, supersetting it, taking a bit rest, grabbing a bit of a lighter dumbbell, all good to go, 100% good to go. Okay. My phone closed. Let's go back to, okay, here we are. This is from Jordan M. I'm a firefighter, and sometimes it's difficult for me to match training days and rest days. Is it okay to follow the workouts in the assigned order, but switch up the rest days occasionally? Yes. I guess there's no need to even, yes, that's the entire answer for the question. And Jordan, the answer to your question is kind of somewhat related to the answer to Patrick's question, which is there's the ideal world and the real world. In the ideal world, you wouldn't have to make these decisions, but you live in the real world. Your job has certain demands. There are certain aspects of your schedule and week that you can't control. And so you have to make some obligations and make some concessions and make everything fit in there. And if you're going to have to just, you can keep the order, like you said, which is awesome, and you just kind of got to play with where the rest days land, great. The only thing I would say is just if you stack several days back to back to back to back, and maybe you get 4 days in a row or 5 days in a row every now and then, just listen to your body. Because if there is a day that should have been a rest day and now it's not, you just might be feeling a little sluggish. And don't feel bad if you just make that like a low intensity day, scale it down or something like that. That will pay dividends in the long run. And that actually relates to that listening to your body piece relates to an answer I'll have later on. Hopefully I don't forget it. Next question from Jordan F. I would love to talk DIY, do-it-yourself rope climb setups. I miss them from back in the gym days. Putting one in the home seems daunting. So, Jordan, I have to say, I 100% agree with you. I don't have a high enough ceilings in my garage for a 15-foot rope climb, and I love rope climbs. It's something I used to do a lot back in the day in the old military days, and I always thought it was just so darn fun, quite frankly, that I wish I had a high rope to climb. Great workout, and I just enjoy it. You can go old school CrossFit if you want, like, 2005, 2007, where, be safe, obviously. If you've got a tree, throw that rope up in the tree and you're climbing outside. Worked for years for a lot of people, but let's assume that you can't do that for whatever reason. Homeowners association, pesky insurance companies, things like that. There are some, what you should do, actually, Jordan, you should post this in the private Facebook group and ask people who have cracked the code on this in their garage to post photos. And you'll see some really cool photos of Linchpin members that have made high rope climb setups in their garage. Melanie's garage is leaving to mine. I know other people have a setup like hers where she literally has a hole cut in the ceiling of her garage where you'll see her do rope climbs and she just disappears into the ceiling. That's commitment right there. Modify the structure of your home. But if you can't do that, you can't throw it around a tree or something like that, you can get a rope that you would climb and put it either as high as you can, like, bolt it to the ceiling safely and securely, even if it's a 7-foot ceiling, an 8-foot ceiling, a 9-foot ceiling, whatever it happens to be. Or you could throw it over your pull-up bar, and you could do those movements where, you keep your body rigid and then hand over hand, your feet don't move. Keep your body in a rigid plank and you lower yourself down to the ground, shoulder blades touch the ground, keeping your body in a rigid plank, you pull yourself back to standing. You do a bunch of those, you're not going to be shortchanged with your midline development or your upper body pulling development as well. You could also just do towel pull-ups if you didn't want to do that. Put a towel over your pull-up bar. Now these will be stricties, but grab that towel, you'll develop some crusher grip strength, and you're doing strict towel pull-ups. If you ever have to go climb a rope, I don't think you'll have any trouble doing it if you get competent at towel pull-ups. But I agree with you. Rope climbs are absolutely awesome. Okay, here we go. Ready? From David E. A coach at the box I used to attend utilized several protocols for his Olympic weightlifting team from various people in the strength and conditioning community. Among the tools they used was to occasionally lift while wearing a wetsuit. My understanding was that this is supposed to stimulate the sympathetic nervous system and allow you to lift heavier. I got a shorty wetsuit, and I've used it from time to time, and it is certainly irritating. But some days I put up more weight than expected. I'm curious what your thoughts are, since you have a deep understanding of fitness and have spent more time than most in a wetsuit. So, David, I have to be honest. I wasn't sure whether or not you were pranking me with this question, but I know that you're not. So my short answer is I don't think you need to lift in a wetsuit. That's just my short answer. I don't think that's what you need to do at all. And my understanding of that would be, or why I'm saying with that is like, heck, okay, let's give the most gracious and charitable view of this possible. Let's say that there's actually something to it, that it actually does somehow stimulate the sympathetic nervous system. And like you said, every now and then, maybe you lift more than you thought. Not all the time, but every now and then. I would find it hard to believe for most people if we took a real honest assessment of their life, how much they are or are not sleeping, the quality of that sleep, every single morsel of food that they consumed, and how wonderfully nutritious it was or was not, and the quantity in which they consumed it, how much time they're spending on increasing their range of motion, how much time they're taking to good, recovery protocols and taking care of their body. Like all of those things that are like huge cornerstone, foundational things that make the overwhelming majority of your progress. Most people, I wouldn't be like, hey, you know what? We've sifted through the ashes of every corner of your life, like a detective looking for clues. And everything is being executed so perfectly and so flawlessly. Those major building blocks have no room left to improve. The only thing left is to try lifting in a wetsuit. That's what's going to do it. That's what's the missing element is. I don't think that's going to be the answer for 99.99 whatever percent of the population. I think there's going to be, before anything like that is even experimented with or tried, time, money, resources, mental effort, and all that, I think would be spent somewhere else for a 10x return, like without question. And you say that, hey, you've actually put one on, and every now and then you lift more weight than you thought. That, I believe you. I really do, actually. But here's the deal: like, that happens without a wetsuit. Every now and then I lift more weight than I expected. And some days I don't lift as much weight as I expected. And other days I lift what I expected. And other days I lift more than I expected. And so that happens regardless of the wetsuit. That has nothing. That's just lifting. That's just, you have days like that and you have days that you don't. Again, shortest answer, I don't think you need to do it. I agree with you. They are irritating. I don't think you need to do that. I think you should probably just work on being comfortable when you lift and lifting how you lift all the time. And to sanity check myself on this, I went ahead and gave Chad Vaughn a call this morning, who is an Olympic weightlifter and went to the Olympics. And I said, Chad, am I unaware of like a Team USA wetsuit that everyone is secretly training in to get the extra gains? And he was very confused by my question. He's like, what do you mean? So we had the conversation. He was like, no, sir. And he's a lifelong, does nothing but Olympic weightlift from the time he was a wee lad to right now, been all around the world. Never heard of it, never tried it, never seen anyone bring it up, never seen anyone mention a wetsuit. No one's lifting in a wetsuit. So I don't think you need to do that. I also happened to talk to another Olympian yesterday, Maddie Rogers. Now, I didn't know we were going to have this question. I would have mentioned a wetsuit to her, but we talked about a lot of different training protocols, and she didn't mention a wetsuit either. So my gut feeling is I would get rid of it. Okay. Next question from Sparrow S. When I hear Sparrow, all I can think of is Captain Jack Sparrow. Okay. The older I get, 44 years old, the more I prioritize having a large work capacity. My goal is to do long linchpin workouts better, faster, stronger, and handle all the day homestead responsibilities such as cutting wood, digging holes, etc. And better yet, to cut wood all day and still be able to do a workout. Is the best way to increase work capacity to simply add more training over the weeks and months? How can you know if you've hit your limit versus you're still within the bounds and simply you're tired because, well, you've been physically active for 12 hours a day? I'm guessing intensity regulation needs to be at play here too. Thanks, coach. Yes, my friend. Yeah, I mean, the Linchpin community warms my heart, truly. Like, I'm genuinely proud of all of you. Like, I mean that. Like, the strength and conditioning IQ that's developed, you knew at the end of that question that intensity regulation was going to come in there, modulation of intensity. You're spot on. Here's a couple things that I don't know just from reading the question that I'll give it a couple answers to make sure I try to hit it. So, what's the best way to increase your work capacity? Do the daily workouts. I mean, there's the short answer right there. And wherever you are in your fitness journey, your goal is to just do them better. Get fitter, faster, and stronger, and to gradually and intelligently increase the challenge so the workouts stay appropriately challenging for where you are. So, what I don't know from your question is right now, are you a scaled athlete? If you're a scaled athlete, the goal is to keep doing those scaled workouts, loading, rep ranges, the whole 9 yards until you check out the goal times and you're like, man, I'm regularly on the fast side of the scale workouts. Maybe I need to bump the load up just a little bit. And that's intelligent, gradual progress that you should be doing. That will increase your work capacity and everything that you're looking for here. Are you a athlete that does, you do a fair amount of them as a regular workout of the day as prescribed? But maybe because you have so much stuff you're doing at home, you're only getting in 3 workouts a week. Well, the goal might be to eventually move that to 4 workouts a week. And the goal, once you're comfortable with that and your body feels good, to move it to 5 workouts a week. So all that stuff happens. But let's say that you're at 5 workouts a week, the full linchpin load, and you're doing the regular workouts today and you're trying really hard and you're making good decisions. The short answer is you don't need to do anything more than that, because as you look around the community, you see if people just stick around and they do that, just doing that increases your back squat, increases your deadlift, gives you a faster Helen time, gives you more rounds of Cindy. Well, all of those things right there are indicative of increasing your work capacity, which is precisely what you're after. So if you're at that level, wherever you are in that fitness journey that I just mentioned, athlete 1, 2, or 3, if you continue to make those intelligent decisions, they all lead to increased work capacity. They all lead to increased fitness. So just keep doing what you're doing. And you've got a lot of physical stuff you're doing, 12 hours of physical labor a day. Yeah, every now and then you might just want to a rest day or not working out that day might be a very intelligent decision, but every now and then, depending upon what you did, you might feel up to it. Listening to your body, modulating intensity, you're absolutely true. And the other part is just make sure you are taking rest days, okay? Because especially with what you just said right there. And that's the part that I mentioned earlier in this show that I wanted to circle back to, which is if you have in the back of your mind, well, I'm doing 5 workouts a week, doing the full linchpin load. You know what I need? I need a 6th workout day, or I need a double session. If that's creeping into your mind as to how you're going to increase your fitness, that is a pitfall. That is erroneous. That will lead to the opposite of what you're trying to capture. And that's what I wanted to say before, which is, speaking to people outside of the classic CrossFit community, one of the cool things, and I'm blessed to be able to do that with, the podcast and Very Not Random and just talk to all these different folks, is the commonalities of lessons learned of what these older, wiser coaches are trying to tell their athletes. It's the same stuff. we're talking about every week. They're just doing it with just weightlifting or just powerlifting, and we're doing it with mixed modality fitness. And what I mean by that is the desire of the human to think that doing a bit more is going to lead to a bit more results at a certain point is just not the case. And based upon what you've said, with let's say you're doing 5 workouts a day, and 5 workouts a week, you've got everything else you've got going on. You don't need any more fitness in your life. Somebody with a sedentary job doing 5 workouts a week doesn't need any more fitness in their life. And talking about like I said, when I had the conversation with Chad Vaughn, who's an Olympian, yesterday when I spoke with Matty Rogers, who's an Olympian, last week I spoke with a wonderfully intelligent gentleman who was a Division I strength and conditioning coach at a major university, in charge of their football program. They all echoed the exact same things. How can we convince our athletes that more is not better, and the importance of rest days and the importance of listening to your body, that the extra session is not going to launch you forward? And we all just laughed together and we're like, if we could just figure out how to do that, we'd have cracked the code, which is why we have these conversations. So I don't think you need to do more to increase your work capacity. I think you just need to stay on the path that you're on, work towards the goal of doing 5 workouts a week. Wherever you are in your fitness journey, make the absolute best decisions possible, and you'll be good to go. Claudia, 3-part question. There is no budget for these questions, and I need to say why. Okay. Number one, I love the fact that there's no budget. You can have a 1-week motorcycle trip. Where would you go and with who? I'd probably take my old buddy, Ian Wittenberg, that we did the South America trip in 2013. And man, I love South America so much. Then there's so much to see there and so much that we didn't get to see that I could perfectly happy doing it in South America again. The other part of the world that I would love to go, but it's relatively, uh, let's just say, it's relatively full of conflict and turmoil at the moment. But that's an area of the world that I think could be full of amazing sights and adventures, but probably not the time to do it. And number two, you and Emily can have a child-free week or a weekend trip tomorrow. Where would you go? Child-free week. Let's say we could go anywhere we want. I would love to see the Egyptian pyramids. I think that would be one of the things that just I would think pictures don't do it justice. I would love to like walk through them and get a tour and to see them in real life and just have my mind blown that they were actually created. That would be incredible. The only thing which makes me a little bit sad for that is I've seen those photos every now and then of like the pyramids, and you have in your mind what they look like, but they're really good at cropping out what's right next to the pyramids, and then like they zoom out a little bit from the pyramids, and there's just like a major city right there, which is not what you picture, but I'd still love to see them. And number three, you can have a family trip for 10 days. You and Emily and the kids, where would you go? 10 days? Probably someplace with warm water and beautiful beaches. Somewhere in Hawaii would probably be wonderful. That would be great. Maybe somewhere on the coast of Florida. Just warm beaches and warm water would be wonderful. These are great visions. Thank you, Claudette. And final one from Rusty. Everyone has their favorite workouts. What's yours? If you could only choose one workout, for the categories of strength, speed, quickness, or endurance, which would you choose? Thanks to the AMAs. They're enjoyed and appreciated. I guess if I could choose only one lift for the rest of my life, it'd probably be the back squat. For I like a heavy day lift, and I could just choose one. I think that's what I would go with for the demands of the body, for the range of motion. The load is high in the back, so the increase of the demand of the midline is through the roof. I think that would be just a tough option to beat. And then if I had to pick like one mixed modality sort of workout that covered a lot of bases, and I could just maybe do the same style workout, but just several ways over and over again, it would be something that included running, thrusters, and an upper body pull. I think you just get a lot of bang for your buck right there. And that upper body pull, if I had the freedom, could be, variations of pull-ups from strict to kipping to weighted. Upper body pulling could be rope climbs, it could be ring muscle ups. I could play with the thruster weight from, sets of 30 with an empty bar to moderate load, moderate rep range to heavy weight on a low rep range. I could vary the run distances, make it a 2-rounder or a 3-rounder, but playing with a run, a thruster, and an upper body pull. I don't think you'd be shortchanged. So, yeah. So that's it. Thanks everybody for being awesome. Hopefully you enjoyed the AMA, got something out of it. It's Thursday. It's a rest day. Enjoy your rest day. Thanks for being cool, and we'll talk soon.